You obviously know Kung Fu.
Returning to the Kung Fu Driving podcast, Emmy-nominated stunt coordinator, action director, actor, jiu-jitsu black belt, now in the thick of season 3 of Tulsa King, but we're going to be talking about all things Tulsa King shortly. Freddie Poole, Freddie, thank you so much for coming back to the show.
Jeff, glad to be here. Thanks for having me again.
It's good to have you. Congratulations on Tulsa King season 2. You mentioned before that you're in season 3 already, so congratulations on getting to that as well. And also congratulations on the Emmy nod. I do have to ask you on a personal note, though, having been nominated for that Emmy, does that scratch that validation itch for you, or did it make coming into season 2 kind of make you think about how to reset the bar because you've taken it up so high already?
Absolutely. No, it was certainly on my mind. I was like, okay, how can we go, bigger? How can we be better? And, it's just constantly thinking about, ways to do things to make it even more exciting. So, yeah, definitely on the mind. And even right now, as we speak, going into season 3, before uh, uh, yet any Emmy uh, votes are in, I think that's just a normal thing for stunt coordinators and action directors is like how can we approach this to make things to improve and make things better. So regardless of awards, I think that's just our mindset.
Well, on that note, you've worked with Sylvester Stallone, one of the OG action heroes for a lot of action fans, right? You worked with him for going on 2 decades now, right? So, what? Well, first of all, let me ask you, how does he do it? He's,
So
I
well, he's
mean,
still in great shape, 78 years old,
yeah,
and
78
and
years old, and I have trouble getting up in the morning, and this guy's throwing haymakers. So,
I know.
well, so let me ask you about that. How does first of all, how does he do it, and how do you work with that? And then the second part to that, how simpatico are you guys now? Having known him so well, having established that trust and that rapport, so that when you're crafting action for him, he can place full trust in you to make him not only look good, but deliver the most impactful Sylvester Stallone yet.
Well, if we have an opportunity, on set, if there's downtime, which is very little, that's one of the ways that we will just get together. Sometimes I just go to his trailer because I know if he's in there, I can catch him, and we can sit and just talk through some of the action. Or, the old-fashioned cell phone. So we have developed a rapport and relationship over the years that, he has no problem picking up the phone and calling me or sending me very long text messages, giving me his thoughts and input, which I very much appreciate. I mean, he is an icon and a legend, and I want his input very much so in any action sequence. And that's just kind of been our thing over the years. It's just we talk it through, and then there's certain beats that he wants to do or see, and or story points, and we make that happen. So it's been a very synergistic relationship. And, I've enjoyed the process. As I've said before, I learn something from him every time I'm just around him. Just talking about anything. We don't have to talk about action. We can just talk about anything. And I learned something from him. So he's very cerebral, very smart.
Well, he on some of the promo pieces I've seen from Paramount Plus, he has talked about the stunts and the sets, and likening it to a movie as opposed to a TV
Yes.
show. The scale of what you are doing for Tulsa King, um, has how do you navigate something, small scale to something like car explosions and massive gun battles and things like that, and keep everything in perspective and still maintain control. I mean, you've got to obviously have a great team that you've placed your trust in as well.
Absolutely. I am not a one-man show. I have a great supporting cast from assistant coordinators to fight coordinators to stunt doubles to stunt performers and, ND stunt guys that we hired. And what's great about our show is because it is very much like like Stallone said, it's very cinematic,
Yeah.
is that our characters played throughout the season. So, we're working consistently together as a team, with our characters. And when I say characters, our stunt performers. So, because they're coming in and playing a part of like Rich Ting had his group that was with him, an amazing
Awesome.
actor, Rich, an awesome individual. But we were able to surround him with all of my guys. Uh, and obviously, they played throughout the season. So that really helps us just stay on track, because we're not doing necessarily doing or teaching new things to new guys. It's the same guys over and over. So it just helps, helps that process, when we're able to carry that on smoothly.
Speaking of the same guy over and over, you yourself, however, are like this triple threat
Yeah.
on Tulsa King. Not just stunt coordinator, second unit director. You're Sylvester Stallone's double. So you're not just shooting the action and choreographing the action, but you're in it for
Yes.
a lot of it as well. Walk us through how you balance those different roles, and do they make it harder for you to stay concentrating, or does each one kind of inform the other so that you kind of really know where you need to be and what needs to be put on screen?
I think it's the latter. I think it's what we, I know, again, we have so much. It is, it's still TV. So the prep, we have limited prep time. So we just take advantage of every minute that we
Yeah.
have during prep, and every conversation. We take a lot of notes, and there's a lot of sort of movement. Um, but once we have that down, I get that dialed in. I think it's just, for me, it's just a switch and say, okay, it's go time. Let's go. And whatever capacity I'm in, if it's directing second unit or stunt coordinating or doubling, we just get after it. And I know we're up against the clock. So as long as everything's dialed in, which is why that whole prep process is so important, because once we ever just dial that in, I know we can get the shots that we need, and move on to the next thing. So it's been a great experience. I mean, I love it. It's almost like an adrenaline rush for me, to be quite
Oh, I'm
honest with
sure.
you, to have that much responsibility, because it is uncommon. Usually there's a second unit director, and then a stunt coordinator, and then a stunt double. So here I am doing all of that, and then we'll cut, and I'll run over to the monitors and watch playback, and then say, okay, that was great. Let's go one more time, and then let's move on. So again, it's the communication, not just between myself and my team, but the entire production team. And that's, I pride myself on how well my team and I communicate with production, and I think that just further helps us get the job done.
You mentioned a lot of that preparation. Talk to me about the previs that you had to go through for the wind farm fight in episode 5. Kind of an epic sequence there.
Yeah.
What had to go into all of that? And I mean, once you see something like that come together, how how filled with pride are you when it looks as good as it does
Oh,
when it's
I
done?
mean, it's like almost like having another child, if that makes sense. How joyous,
Oh yeah,
having a child is, if you have children. It's almost like that. And it's kind of
yeah,
the
yeah.
feeling that I get. It's like, this is my baby here. And again, I just took the approach of surrounding myself with the right people. Um, I've got a great assistant coordinator who happens to be my son. So he's a
Nice.
chip off the old block. I brought in a great fight coordinator, Chris Brewster, who is, also a great stuntman, stunt coordinator, and second director in his own right. So and then of course brought the team in, all the stunt performers and stunt doubles, and we just walked through all these beats. Again, I had my initial conversations with production and our director, and then the conversation with Stallone. So I take all these notes, and then we just meet, put our heads together, and say, okay, this is the geography, this is what we're doing, and let's go make it happen. And in particular, the wind farm fight, one of the notes that I got from Stallone was he really wanted to showcase some of our other cast members.
Oh, nice.
And I said, fantastic, let's do it. You know, he's always the centerpiece of every scene,
Sure.
regardless of what he's in. But the Bigfoot character, played by Mike
Yeah.
Walden, Cash Flow. He's a wrestler by trade. That's what he does, when he's not on Tulsa King. And I hit him up. I said, Mike, give me something, man. What do you like to do? Give me one of your wrestling moves or two of your wrestling moves. And he said, well, I like to do this. And I like to do this. And I said, let's do it. In that one big moment where, he runs off this platform and just does this big wrestling tackle on the Han Jin character.
Nice.
It's just, I looked at our stunt double and I said, "Hey, man, you're gonna take one. You're gonna take a lick on this one, but just go for a ride and have fun, bro." But just be able to put all that together. We did two separate previs, for that wind farm fight. With our second one involving special effects, because we pulled in our effects team because there were some
Okay.
special effects gags that were also going on simultaneously. So just getting all that dialed in. And then of course cast rehearsal. So that's the other thing is to bring the cast in and walk them through all the beats. So we had a lot of time, which is unusual because typically with TV, it's like, okay,
Sure.
we'll give you a day to previs and we'll rehearse on set. you know, but fortunately, with the amount of work that had to go into that particular scene, we were able to get what we needed. So hats off to our production for allowing that to happen.
Nice. I wanted to touch base too on you mentioned Rich Ting, fantastic actor, great guy. He's been on the show before. We talked when he was doing Warrior. And you also had Frank Grillo and Neil McDonough
Oh yeah,
in the cast. Now, I don't know much about Neil McDonough, I'll admit, but Frank Grillo and Rich Ting have fight backgrounds
yes,
in a lot of their roles. And the last time that we talked, I asked you about putting that Freddie Poole spin on some choreography, and you talked about maybe doing a martial arts thing somewhere down the line whenever you
yeah.
had the opportunity. When you're working with guys like Rich Ting and Frank Grillo, did that at all scratch that itch and make you think about hey, I'm doing it with these guys now. I might need to do something more with more guys like this later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's great about this show is that, and really any project where you spend a lot of time with people, is you just kind of befriend them. You become friends.
Yeah.
And you talk about things. And Frank and I have history because I've worked with him on some previous projects. I even doubled him in a movie we did, a Jason Statham movie called Homefront years
Oh,
and years
nice.
ago. So we already had some history. So it was really easy just to just start chatting it up and talking about things. But yeah, that kind of stuff is in the back of my mind of going, okay, in the future it'd be fun to do something like this with this guy or something like that with that guy. Because again, they're all super talented and not just talented as actors, but they're really just great human beings. All of them, Neil McDonough, Rich, Frank, they're just so easy to talk to. And so, they're down to earth, which is
Cool.
great. And they're not just that way with me, but they're that way with everyone on the set. So it makes it for a nice, calm, relaxed atmosphere.
Even when you're putting a tomahawk into Rich Ting's head.
Yeah. Yeah. What a moment. I mean, what an intense, brutal moment. And again, you talk about all the work that went into that scene and that shot. Uh, I don't know if you follow Rich on Instagram,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he did a live cast and you see him standing there side by
Yep,
side
yep.
with his double and yeah it was a fun process to go through, but to see what we achieved once it was on the screen, because that's a very intense moment, very just raw, visceral. And but again, when you step away from it and just look at it and go, wow, how much fun did we have doing that? Watching Rich walk around with the tomahawk just in his, because they built the piece
Yep.
and he's just walking around with a tomahawk in his head. So it's funny, but when we are doing it, it's intense,
Of course, yeah.
so but again, class act, man, that guy. I could work with him on anything moving forward. It'd be great to do.
That's awesome. So now that you're in the middle of season three, uh, what was the mindset going into this season, knowing that you've upped the scale and you've upped the intensity and you've upped the emotional impact
Yeah.
for the cast and the crew. So what have you decided that you're going to bring to this season to spice up that flavor?
Well, I mean, what else can we do but go bigger, right? So, and what's funny and crazy is that, with everything that we've accomplished these past two seasons, when I started getting the phone calls, and again, we're one big family. So, I'm talking to, you know, production staff and writers and showrunners and other actors, and everyone's like, "Hey, it's going to go bigger. We're going to get bigger. You're going to be busy. You're going to be doing this." So it excites me, but at the same time, going back to the beginning of our conversation, I'm like, okay, how can I approach this
Yeah.
to, top or surpass what we've already done? And again, I can't give away any spoilers for season three, but we're in the thick of it, and it's going to be a hell of a ride.
What about beyond Tulsa King? Are you looking at other things? I know you had a couple of other projects that you were pitching at the time that we last talked. Are you expanding beyond Tulsa to do a few more different Freddie Pool things out
Yeah,
there?
we are. I've sort of aligned myself with a few people, some writers and some showrunners and creators, and we've got some irons in the fire. I don't want to speak. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but
Sure, sure.
obviously, you know, I love my job and love what I do. I'm not going to quit my day job, but eventually I'd like to transition. I know I've mentioned this before, from second unit to main unit, and just like the guys I look up to, some of my friends and peers, as I've mentioned, guys like Stahelski
Sure.
and Leach and Perry, and some friends of mine are doing a big car movie overseas right now. The Hargraves. So. That's the direction I'd like to head towards, and we're working on that, and got a few irons in the fire. So perhaps the next time we get on the Kung Fu Drive-In podcast, I'll be able to give you some more news and better, bigger, better news and
Awesome.
details.
Awesome. I don't doubt that that will happen, and I'm looking forward to that Freddie Pool flavor coming out in some martial arts epic awesomeness. But
Yeah.
um, listen, best of luck with season three. Season two is already doing really well. Have you heard? Have you gotten some reaction from anybody about what you put down for season two already?
Everyone loves the show. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of Paramount's biggest hits. They obviously it's Stallone, and then again, all these new characters that they've added, for season two, you know, just again, it's a wonderful cast, a wonderful crew, but the show is just a blessing because it's been industry wide, as you probably know, it's been a little tough because things have, due to the strikes, it was a little slow. We were one of the first shows to come back post strike. So, very blessed and fortunate to be able to work. And then, of course, just the landscape of the business and a lot of, things that are going on less here, more overseas, that kind of thing. So, again, I'm fingers crossed we get more work coming back our way. But, I'm happy to be able to at least help a few people out and get some people here in the States some work. But the show itself is just so well received. So we're excited about that.
You should be. You guys do an amazing job. And again, Stallone is just so larger than life, that you are able to kind of continue to make him look as badass as he does. At 78, it still blows my mind that he's 78 years
Yeah,
old. And seriously, he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Kudos to whatever you're doing and how you're wrapping that all up around him. But he looks amazing, and you guys do a wonderful job.
I appreciate that. And again, there's a lot of thought on my part going into that because, again, he's an action icon and he's going to want to get in there and mix it up and do
Yeah.
things. And, you know, part of my job is protecting him. So, and what I mean by that is I just get what we need and we get what we need from him. And then we can turn around or profile or whatnot because we have all kinds of tricks with masks and prosthetics that I go into, and I can take care of the rest for him. So it's a very symbiotic, synergistic relationship. And my goal is to preserve him, so that he can continue doing what he's doing.
Yeah, and I'm sure that in some of those instances where it looks like Stallone, it's probably you, and you look great doing it as well. So
I appreciate that.
congratulations
Thanks.
on that. But listen, best of luck on season three. It's a great work that you're doing. Really looking forward to everything else that you're going to bring to the table. I do want to see that martial arts epic from you.
We're gonna get there. We're
I
getting
can
there.
feel that itch right
Yeah,
there, and I know you want to
yeah,
scratch it, so I want to see that come
absolutely.
from you. But thank you so much for hopping on the show, and really, best of luck. Congratulations on the Emmy nomination, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming your way. So, Freddie Poole, thank you so much.
Jeff, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you again.
Hup! Poison Clan rocks the world.